All right, I got the recording going. Now I'm waiting for the live to start.
Okay.
It's taking too long. I got a feeling it's going to fail, but.
Well. I'm getting a message. 2 people entered the waiting room. Do you need to do something, Latasha?
Oh, I just did. Here they come. Hey, Miss Harriet, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Her and Mary did a great job with the family and friends presentation.
Latasha?
I know what happened, but you still did a good job. her internet, her power, something went out and she got disconnected for a while. Mary kept it going until she was able to get back in, but Harriet, you did participate.
So that 10 minutes counts, huh?
You still participated. And my sister's here now, Dr. Kimberly Bracey.
Okay.
Say hey.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hey.
Good. Good. Nice to see everyone.
Trying to look and find everybody.
Kim, do you have the kids with you?
I do. I have Bryson here, and Maxwell just got done testing, so I'm letting him kind of regroup before I call him down.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. That's okay.
Okay. Looks like the live's not going to work, so I'll just share the video, manually later.
Okay, you're recording it, right?
Yeah, I'm recording.
So you can upload that?
Right.
Okay, well, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the May meeting, affiliate meeting of Nami Central Mississippi tonight. We've got a special treat. We've got a program which I have not seen before called Say It Out Loud, speaking with teens about mental health. And presenting it for us will be our Nami Mississippi Executive Director, Tanya Wembley. But before Tanya gets started, we've got a few public service announcements. We're going to have I'm Auburn Williams, our Nami Central Mississippi president, and we're going to have our vice president, Latasha Willis, tell you a little bit about our upcoming conference, our Nami Mississippi conference, which will be later this month from the 26th to the 28th. So Latasha, you want to fill us in on that? I was looking today at the agenda and it looks really good.
Okay, great. It looks like the Facebook Live is working now. That's great. Well, as Auburn was saying, I'm Latasha Willis. I am the vice president for NAMI Central Mississippi affiliate. And one upcoming event that we're very excited about every year is our annual state conference, NAMI Mississippi's annual state conference. This year, the theme is adequate self-care, transformation, motivation, and essentials. It'll be held virtually again this year for the second time, May 26th through the 29th. We have at least 12 presenters so far. We might have another one who might be kind of a surprise down the pike. We'll find out later this week. So registration is only $45. That's it. Only $45. So I highly recommend that you check it out.
Or less for NAMI members.
Right. There are discounts if you are a member of NAMI Mississippi, and there's an additional discount if you are a NAMI Mississippi member who is what we call a peer, a person living with a mental health condition. And you can contact your local affiliate for, if you're not with Central, you can contact your local affiliate for the discount code, or you can reach out to Central if you're a Central member for the discount code, or contact the state office as well. The link to the conference information, I'll put it in the chat, but it's namims.org/conference 2021. It's namims.org/conference 2021. You'll get able to see our preliminary agenda. You'll see our wonderful sponsors. We have some great sponsors this year, dynamic sponsors. And that page will be updated on a regular basis. So constantly go back and check it. But the registration link is there and everything you need. So be sure to check it out on a regular basis. Okay, so let's get on to our next main part of this meeting that I am so excited about, because I'm familiar with Say It Out Loud, but I've never been to a Say Out Loud presentation. So our presenter is Satania Wembley. Satania J. Wembley is the Executive Director of Nami, Mississippi. You held that role for how long now, Satania?
About 1.5 years, I think.
Yep, going on 2 years. Congratulations. And one thing she's learned is crisis management, because we've dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. We dealt with almost a possible flood of a state office. A lot of different things came up, but she just took the bull by the horns and made it happen. So we're thankful for her. She has a lot of experience. She has experience as well as the account manager for the state office, program director for the state office. 2 cute little young girls, hardworking husband. She's got it in the bag. All right, Satania, you go ahead and take on over for us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And I want to first thank everyone for being here today. As was said, I am the Executive Director of Nami, Mississippi. And this is the presentation I do want to share with you all, but I also want to preface it by saying that this is something that I do going into classrooms. So a lot of times we'll get teachers and instructors and people who work with young adults who want something to share about mental health. And we go in, and what I like to do is ask all of the adults to leave. And we just have this discussion. And I try to get as much feedback as I can from the young adults to learn what they know and to give them information and help them understand where to get more resources if they have additional questions. Today, we do have a young adult who normally does this with me. Her name is Lakin Register, and it makes it more personable for our young adults when we have someone that's closer to their age range. So I always like to ask someone from our youth department to assist me when we go into classrooms or when we are actually doing this presentation. However, today Lakin was gonna come on and assist, and the weather took over. So at this point, I'm not sure if she's still in a storm shelter or if she's made it home, but I know she's safe, but she's just not able to log on due to not having power in her area. But I will carry on and make sure that you all kind of get the gist of what we do in the classroom and what we are telling young adults in relation to mental health and mental wellness. Now, what is Nami, Mississippi? Nami, Mississippi is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we're the largest nation's grassroots mental health organization. So Nami is all over the nation. We break into 3 sections. We have the national, state, and local levels. Every state does not have a state office. However, we are in, I want to say, almost all 50 states of the United States. So if you have a family member who is in need, you can have them reach out to Nami across the United States. Nami provides advocacy, education, support, and public awareness so that all individuals and families affected by mental illness can build better lives. So what is Say It Out Loud? It's a commitment made by Nami to initiate conversation around mental health. It provides some of the tools needed to lead conversations around mental health in community groups. And this is one of the things where it says it provides the tools. This is where we give the young adults the opportunity to take this tool and use it. As a matter of fact, this PowerPoint was put together by a young adult, and it was someone right here in our state office in our home area. So I'm going to show you all a few pictures. So we have Selena Gomez, Lizzo, Hasley, which I always have a hard time saying her name, and Kanye West. So can anyone tell me what all of these people have in common? This one's interactive, so I need to hear you.
Well, I know they didn't all run for president.
No,
They all have a mental health. I know that Kanye, we know
Health
Kanye,
issue.
they have a mental health condition.
yes, ma'am. And we have Billie Eilish. So they all live with a mental health condition. So if you look at these young adults and these people who are considered celebrities, pay attention, because even though they do live with a mental health condition, they're living their lives and they are successful in their crafts. So in this discussion, we like to have some ground rules. Everyone will have a chance to talk that wants to speak. Only one person speaks at a time, and this is a safe place to share information, but self-harm cannot and will not be kept a secret. So if you say that you're considering harming yourself or you have been harming yourself in the past, then that's something that we can't keep, to ourselves. And for me, one that's a major rule, no question is a dumb question. So we want to be open and we want to be respectful of everyone.
But are we live streaming now on Facebook?
Yes, we are.
Yes, sir, we are.
Just pointing that out.
Yes, we are live streaming on Facebook. So if you have a question and you want to ask us in private, you can always send it to Latasha in private in chat, and she can send it to me and I can get back with you on it. Or you can just send it in chat and let us know if that's something you want to share, or it can be shared anonymously. That way you don't feel like you're being put on the spot when we actually answer the different questions. Because what you're asking or what you're thinking may be something that other young adults or other individuals in the community are wondering. And like Mr. Auburn noted, we are streaming live on Facebook. So if we come up with any questions from anyone else or someone texts you a question, feel free to ask us. And I also want to add that I am not a clinician. I am not trained, but I will give you as much information as I can. I can tell you who is a clinician. Dr. Tiffany Anderson is on the line, and if there's a question that's above my head and in her ballpark, I may have to refer to her.
I'm here. I am here. Thank you.
So what is mental health? This is a very important question because there are a lot of definitions. So for us today, what we'll say is it's a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Mental health can affect daily life, relationships, even physical health. And it should be maintained the same as physical health. So when you go in and do a checkup for your body, you should ask for a mental health checkup also. And that's something that's becoming more common. If you tell your physician, hey, could you do a mental health screener on me? They should be able to do that. If they're not, find you someone who can, because we want to make sure that you are whole and well all over. Mental health conditions. So any condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, or mood is considered a mental health condition. It does not result from one event, and there are multiple linking causes. So it could be genetics, environment, and lifestyle influences. And there are a few other causes, but those are some of the three that we hear about most often. Now, often involve feelings that everyone expresses, like worry, sadness, or stress. But the key to it is they don't go away on their own and can be so intense and persistent that they interfere with life. So for me, and what I always recommend is if these feelings last longer than 2 weeks, or these feelings are stopping you from living your day-to-day life. For instance, if you're so worried about going outside, about COVID, that you just cannot leave the house, then that is a sign of a mental health condition. And you may want to contact somebody to talk about it or see what you need to do in order to make sure that you're okay when the time comes. So say it out loud. At this point, we have a video that I would like to show you for you all. Hold on one moment. Let me go ahead and get that started.
Mental health conditions are more common than you may think. 1 in 5 youth or young adults lives with a mental health condition.
You had to stop sharing your PowerPoint first.
Oh,
like feeling sad.
Thanks, Latasha. Hold on, let me get in and stop sharing that.
Yeah,
And
there you go. Now you can share that.
share the other screen.
Right.
Latasha always has my back. Somebody has. Okay, Google Chrome. There we go. Now let me start it from the beginning. Can you all
Are
hear?
withdrawn for more than 2 weeks.
Yes.
Common than you may
Okay.
think. 1 in 5 youth or young adults lives with a mental health condition. Do you know the warning signs? Like feeling sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks. Severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships. Intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. Sudden overwhelming fear for no reason. Or seriously trying to harm or kill oneself, or making plans to do so. Not eating, throwing up, or using laxatives to lose weight. Significant weight loss or weight gain. Severe, out-of-control risk-taking behavior that can cause harm to self or others. Repeated use of drugs or alcohol. Drastic changes in behavior, personality, or sleeping habits. Or extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still. If you see these signs in yourself or a friend, tell a trusted adult. The first step to getting help is to say it out loud.
Like to say it's like a roller coaster that I didn't buy a ticket for.
It's always something that's there, but doesn't really consume or control my life.
I've gotten teased, I've gotten judged.
For me, it's really been about living in spite of having a mental health condition as opposed to living with having a mental health condition, because it's never been something that I really define myself by.
My diagnosis doesn't define me. Like, I have a bunch of diagnoses, but that doesn't mean that I am my diagnosis. I kind of had to learn that.
I started noticing a few things that were a little off, and then I'm really close with my older sister, my half sister, and she actually was the one who kind of mentioned some things to me, and she was the one who kind of advocated for me when I didn't know how to advocate for myself.
I mean, now I'd say that I was having kind of adrenaline rushes, that I was getting cold sweats, that I was going into panic attacks.
So it's really hard to just tell myself, like, you can't shut down, because if you shut down, like, it's just gonna get worse.
I tried a few different practitioners, different therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, and I really worked to find what worked for me.
And it's just, again, not letting mental illness or people who kind of brought you down win.
I mean, we see it all around us all the time, and I think kids and adolescents are our most vulnerable populations and most innocent. And I remember what it was like, and I don't wish it on my worst enemy.
Eventually, there's going to be a tomorrow that isn't like today.
Well, hope means to me, the only thing it means to me is hold on, pain ends.
Sometime in life, everyone has a great battle to fight. And whatever it be, the best that you can hope for is that you have people that will listen to you and support you. And that you will have the strength to believe in yourself and to fight for yourself. Because if you don't fight for yourself, you can't expect anyone else to.
One small crack doesn't mean that you're broken. It means you're put to the test and you didn't break.
It's a lot more prevalent than you think, and it's probably right next to you if you look at the person right next to you,
I feel like people recognize it, but they don't recognize it in like a good way. They kind of recognize it like, I don't understand, so I don't understand it, so it must be something bad.
But if you make it about someone's neighbor or someone's classmate, someone's best friend, and they tell their story, then it's really hard to keep it out of your bubble, to pretend that it's not there. So we really need to, I think, personalize it and just have as many people that are comfortable talking, talk, because the more it's kind of put at the front of attention and the more people know about it and have an open dialogue, the more change happens.
And I think we just need to have an honest, open conversation and not be afraid to correct people if it's wrong, if it's incorrect, if it's invalid, inaccurate.
I feel like if you sit down and have a heart-to-heart and not just, mental illnesses affects like 1 in every how many people. And, like if you actually share your own experiences, not just facts, then I feel like people are getting more comfortable.
Through telling stories and sharing our experiences, we can relate to each other more than maybe a fact sheet or something more clinical.
You know, and just I think we need to take things more seriously. And if you know, one of your friends says something that's not like them, or that even kind of just puts a weird feeling in your mouth, say something. I mean, if you care about them, you know.
Okay. So on there, we had quite a few young adults that kind of shared their stories. And for the parents and caregivers on here, I do want to say that I have seen young adults that have shared their stories like that in classrooms. When the adults go away, the kids start to share and let us know what's going on, and they just have an open conversation, and it gets really real. These young adults know what their family members are going through. These young adults know what mental health is, what mental wellness is, what all the signs and symptoms are. We as adults have to realize that they're more open than we are about their mental wellness on many aspects of it. So one thing that I do right now is for the parents and caregivers who are on here and who have just seen that video, I ask that you share your experiences with young adults. And I also ask that you have the conversation. May is Minority Mental Health Month. I'm sorry, not minority, Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is a great opportunity for you to use this as an excuse to have a conversation with young adults that you know that may be struggling or may not be struggling. Because if you look at this statistic, suicide is the third leading cause of death for young adults and for youth and young adults. Suicide. That's number 3. 1, 2, 3. That's a hard pill to swallow, because that means that these young adults didn't feel like they had the help that they needed, or these young adults didn't feel that they could overcome what they were going through. So let's have that conversation, and let's make it a dinner table conversation. It's not something that should be taboo. Mental health is just the same as if someone has any other type of health issue. So they did talk about some different warning signs on there, and I'll go over some with you all now. The early warning signs of psychosis: it's sensing things are not real, suspicious of others, believing external forces are controlling youth thoughts, feelings, or behaviors, thinking all have superpowers or are on a special mission from a higher power, and strong or inappropriate emotions or no emotions at all. So that last one kind of rings very, very true. A lot of times they get to the point where they don't care about what's going on, and it seems like that's just a part of puberty, or, you know, them being a young adult. It may not be. So dig deeper into that. And these are actually warning signs of psychosis, not warning signs of a mental health issue. A few more is you spending much more time alone than normal. The young adult may withdraw from the family or their friends. Significant and sudden decline in self-care. And we all know we sometimes look at young adults and we say, well, that's just part of what they're going through. That may be true, but pay attention to it and just have a talk with them and make sure that they understand that that could be a sign of something bigger. Difficulty expressing themselves, thinking clearly or concentrated. And a lot of times these issues will cause a decline in grades. So this may be something that teachers notice before parents notice, because most of the times parents aren't around when young adults have a certain task that they are responsible for completing. If you notice that your child or your loved one is not able to express themselves, they get frustrated and kind of shut down really quickly. They can't think clearly and kind of get their words or their thoughts fully out, or they can't concentrate. They can't finish a task, or they can't get the things done that need to be done. Those are signs that that young person is struggling, and that you can step in and offer help. And if they don't take the help, keep asking, keep working on it, because you may be the reason that they don't become one of those statistics. Now, say it out loud. Less than half of all youth and young adults with mental health conditions receive treatment. Now, that's a statistic. So it says less than half. That means that there are a few that are not even accounted for, because this happens on the back end when these people become adults and they start to share, oh, this is something I struggle with as a young adult. Even though they're having signs and symptoms, they may not share it with you, or they may share it with you and not be able to get treatment. It's very important that if a young adult comes to you, no matter who they are, that you do your best to get them treatment and you do your best to get them help, because they are coming to you in confidence. You are someone that they feel can protect them or help them. And if you don't step up and try to get them the help that they need, they may lose confidence in you. And you may be the only person that they have confidence in. Now, for young adults, it's very important to note that your friend may talk to you and they may not talk to adults. You may be a teenager or a college student, and your friend is telling you they're having these feelings, and they may not talk to anyone but you about it. Your roommate, best friend, your boyfriend, or a girlfriend. This may be something that's happening. And because you are on this this Facebook Live tonight or on this call, you now know what to do. If you don't know what to do, you can call Nami. Nami, look up our information, namims.org, and call us. Just ask us. It's confidential. We don't know who you are if you're on the other end of the phone. Or there'll be some numbers at the end of some suicide prevention lines, and Latasha will share some of those in the chat and under the Facebook post that you can call and get help if needed. Now, we'll talk about some different mental health care careers, because you need to know the difference in who you will see when a young adult is struggling with a mental illness. And these careers are also careers that you as a young adult may be interested in pursuing, and we would love to have you. So what is a psychiatrist? A psychiatrist is a mental health practitioner specializing in the diagnosis and treatment of mental illness. A psychologist is an expert or specialist in psychology, someone who studies mental processes and human behavior. A counselor is trained to give guidance on personal, social, and/or psychological problems. A social worker helps people solve and cope with problems in their everyday lives. Social workers work in a variety of settings, including mental health clinics, schools, child welfare, and human service agencies, hospitals, settlement houses, community development corporations, and private practices. Social workers are really important because they often are the people who can tell you where to find the resources and make sure that you're able to get what's needed in order to be successful on your mental health journey. So with all of those careers, one thing that's important to note for young adults as well as parents is that when you see one, you can see more than one. You can have a counselor, a social worker, and a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or you can have all of them. And it's important to know that it takes a team. Mental health is not something that only one person is responsible for helping you with. It's kind of like going to a specialist. If you have a problem with your body and they find out it's your heart, they send you to a heart specialist. So when it comes to mental health, it's okay to have a full team. As a matter of fact, the more people you have helping you with your mental health, the better off you're going to be. A peer support specialist. Now, this is a fairly new idea, but it's a very, very, very effective idea. A peer support specialist is an informal counselor, a person with lived experience. They support individuals' struggles persistent to mental health, psychological trauma, or substance use. The person is also in recovery from mental or behavioral health conditions, or substance use. Sometimes these can even be co-occurring. Now, with our peer supports, I am so grateful that this is part of what resources individuals have now, because these are people who live this journey. These are people who walk the walk. They know the journey. They've been in the shoes of individuals who are struggling, so they can help on a whole different level. They have the experience and they can tell you what they did, and they can help guide you through the process. And it's okay to speak to a peer specialist. Lakin Register at our office is actually a peer support specialist. She's a certified trained peer support specialist, and she's a young adult. And she helps with our Open Up Mississippi program. So I will give you information for that at the end of this presentation. And that's one of the things that I would recommend for anyone. If you have a question about mental health and you're not sure which way to go, find a peer support specialist, ask them what they think, and they will give you more information on what's important and what helped them in their journey. Because the best way to learn is to learn from someone who's been through the process. Now, are there any questions over here in the chat while I'm kind of going through this? I'll pause for a minute at mental health conditions. Let me check the chat. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, but there is a lot of crisis information, as well as information for DMH helpline, our contact information. There's a link to a card for mobile crisis units. A lot of information in the chat right now. And later on, after we finish our Facebook Live, I will reshare that information on our Facebook page under that particular live stream.
Perfect. And since we are here, let me go ahead and say that there are two things that I would recommend. If there's ever a mental health crisis and someone needs to be called for help, do your best to get a crisis intervention team officer to your location. That officer has set in training and been trained how to de-escalate a situation with someone who's going through a mental health crisis. They can recognize the signs and symptoms. They know what to do and how to do it in order to safely get themselves and that person the help that's needed. So a crisis intervention trained team member is always the first thing. And also, if you can get a mobile crisis unit, you can call your community mental health center and ask them if that's available in your area, because those are things that kind of speed up the process for individuals who are struggling. And it also brings out the correct means of help. It brings out the people who know what's going on and they know what to do about what they're walking into. So Latasha, thank you so much for sharing all that information. And those numbers that she's sharing, please make sure you write those down. For my young adults, I always ask that you put them in your phone. You never know when there'll be a crisis and you have to call someone. And who wants to Google that number when you can already have it in your cell phone or have it in your friend's phone? As a matter of fact, share it with your friends and tell them to save the number, because it is important. You never know when there's going to be a crisis. Mental health.
Sataniel, there's a message in on Facebook under the live stream from Constance Escobar, and she says, I will say that every child in my life knows I listen, care, and celebrate them as often as possible.
Thank you, Constance. And we appreciate that. And I know those young adults do too, because sometimes young adults just need someone to listen. And if you're their sounding board, we greatly appreciate you. And we want to make sure you have the numbers that are needed so that you can support those young adults. If you have anything that you have a question about, feel free to contact us, because we want to support you in supporting them. And also, I see in our chat, how do you find a peer support specialist? Well, you can call your community mental health center and ask for a peer support specialist, and they can get you in touch with one that may be working in their center. Or you can call Nami, Mississippi, And our number is 601-899-9058. And if you can't find one through the Community Mental Health Center, we'll do our best to make sure we get you in touch with one, because we want to make sure everyone knows that they are available and they can have access to someone who has lived experience. So
I'd also mention that we have people through our support groups at Nami, Mississippi, that we have both meetings and people that you can make connections with that way, and you can find those support groups listed on our Nami, Mississippi website.
Yes, definitely. And all of our affiliates have support groups. We have support groups for family members, and we have support groups for the individual who lives with the mental illness. Because if any of you know that family members are struggling, you know that it becomes a family issue. It's not just what that one person's going through, because you want to make sure that that individual is safe. So sometimes you need support as a family member, and that person needs to be able to talk to others and interact with others who are going along on their journey, and help them to support themselves in their mental wellness journey. And then another thing is for parents. We actually have a program, well, not even just parents, anyone who deals with young adults. We have a program called Nami Basics that you can go to Eventbrite, search for Nami Basics Mississippi, and you can take a class to teach you actually how to deal with young adults when they are in the struggle of a mental health crisis. So if you even suspect it and you're not sure what to do next, go to that website and take that class. And if push comes to shove, try to get into a youth mental health first aid class. We offer those occasionally, and it is mental health first aid, which is kind of parallel to regular first aid, but it's for mental illness, mental health, and mental health crises. It helps you understand how to speak to someone who may be considering suicide or killing themselves. So those are very important classes to take, because how an individual interacts with that young adult will determine the outcome of the situation. So all of those are different resources that we have available. If we don't have something available, or you have a question about something, you can always call the office. And I can tell you this PowerPoint that I'm doing now, we change it up to fit whatever situation is necessary, so that we can reach the masses and the young adults that are needed to be reached at the time. We can come out to anywhere, church organizations, community organizations, anywhere that we can share information about mental health, that's where we're coming, and we'll make sure to bring the information that's needed. Mental health conditions, we have a few listed here. And the first one we'll talk about is anxiety. Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. It's a feeling of fear or apprehension about what's to come. Now, I don't know about you wonderful people, but we have been going through COVID for quite a while, and we're on that back end of it. But I know about December of last year, my anxiety was probably through the roof, because I was thinking, when is this going to end? How did we get here? What's going to happen next? And anxiety is normal, especially in situations that we're going through now. But if it is overwhelming and it is hindering you, or it's lasting more than 2 weeks, it's really important to talk to someone about it, because you want to be able to work through your feelings and know how to help yourself in the instance that your anxiety gets too overwhelming for you. But keep in mind, it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to be perfect. We're all going through trauma right now. I mean, we are coming out of a pandemic. That's something that I can honestly say I've never been through a pandemic. So this is something that we as a community, us as an organization, we're all learning and we're all growing. But keep in mind, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to tell someone that you're not okay. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a serious mental illness characterized by extreme mood swings. Emotional highs are known as mania, while emotional lows are known as depression. Mood switch back and forth over time with each mood lasting days, weeks, months, or even years. And speaking to individuals who live with this diagnosis, I've learned that when they're in mania, they go through a very productive time frame. They can get everything done that they need to get done. I mean, they are just workhorses. They speed through everything that's needed to be done. It's done orderly, it's done in a good fashion. I mean, they are awesome. But what you don't see on the backside of them doing all of that work and being active in all of those programs and supporting everyone else is when they go home, a lot of times they're alone. They have trouble sleeping. They just have more issues than is shown than we can see. All we see is all the wonderful work that they're putting in and how great of a person they are and how active they are. So just keep in mind that those are signs and symptoms. And mania is very real. It's not necessarily what it looks like on TV. Depression. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness or loss of interest. It can also be called major depressive disorder or clinical depression. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and it can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. Keyword, physical problems, not just emotional. You can have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes you may feel as if life isn't worth living. And this is very dangerous because for parents and caregivers, it may look like a lazy young adult, when in actuality, they're struggling and they're doing their best to get past the struggle that they're having. For a person living with depression who is in a crisis, just getting up to take a shower may be a huge win for the day. So let's make sure that we're supporting individuals, especially if you know they have a diagnosis and you are trying to support them. It's okay if they just get up and take that shower. If they are happy about that, praise them for that, because that has been a big challenge for them. Or if you walk in and they have a sink full of dishes, that's okay. Let them get to it at their time, but know that this is part of what they're struggling with. This is part of the symptoms that they live with. Dissociative identity disorder is a mental health disorder when a person has two or more distinct personalities. It used to be called multiple personality disorder. It's thought to likely be caused by many factors, including severe trauma during early childhood, and it's referred to as DID. DID is a severe form of disassociation, which is a mental process which produces a lack of connection in a person's thoughts, memories, feelings, actions, or sense of identity. The disassociation aspect is thought to be a coping mechanism. So at some point, this young adult or this person may have gone through something so traumatizing that they just did not want to be in that, and they just disassociated. And you see it on TV a lot of times when there's a huge trauma going on in the show, that person will kind of fade away and start to think about other things. They're trying to show this this diagnosis with that. The person literally shuts off, disassociates themselves from a situation or experience that is too violent, traumatic, or painful to experience or process with their conscious self. Most of us have experienced mild disassociation, which is like daydreaming or getting lost in the moment while working on a project or listening to music. So for me, I often experience this when I'm driving. I don't know about you all. I'm driving home and then I start to think about everything under the sun. And then all of a sudden I'm home. And I realize, how did I get here? I didn't even, it's just natural. So that's a mild form of it, but that's kind of how it works. You're just going through the motions and your physical body's just going through the motions. However, your mind is totally somewhere else. You're thinking about something totally different. And I know for young adults, you may be sitting in a class and you're thinking about what happened the day before, what you're going to eat after the class, all of the above. So that's just a mild form of it. And you want to be careful when you start to realize that you're going through situations that you have to leave, your thought just has to leave. because that may be something that's not healthy for you as a young adult. If that's something that's going on and you feel that way, you may want to talk to somebody, a school counselor, one of your family members that you trust, because it may be too violent, traumatic, or painful for your brain to actually process it. And the brain protects us a lot. For it to do this, that's letting you know that your brain has your best interest at heart. And it's like, okay, we can't deal with this. It's time to go. But your body and your mind is still there. Panic disorder is a psychiatric disorder in which deliberating anxiety and fear cause frequently and without reasonable cause. A panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear that triggers severe physical reactions when there is no real danger or apparent cause. They can be scary, and you may think that you're losing control, having a heart attack, or even dying. So in mental health first aid, one of the things that kind of shocked me is the average panic attack lasts about 10 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but if I go in the pool and I'm under too long, I know it's not 10 minutes, but I will panic because I think, oh my goodness, I can't get up. I am smart. I don't go in the deep end because I know if I go in the deep end, I may panic and that's the end of me. So that would happen in under 10 minutes. Imagine for 10 minutes, an individual is in a situation where they're not sure what's going to happen. They're gasping for breath. They're trying to figure out, are they going to be able to come through this? And they're losing control of their physical body. It's something that I've learned a lot about in this position that I have now. And it's important to let those individuals know that you're there. Ask them if it's okay for you to touch them, or what the next steps are, or what they need you to do in order to help them through the process. Because sometimes just the idea of an individual touching them may make it worse. So follow their lead, do what they ask you to do if they can. If not, just try to, walk them through the process and help them to calm down, help them to breathe and get air in. But be mindful of what you say and how you say it, because sometimes they just need you to be there with them as they move through the process. So this is a panic disorder grounding exercise that Lakin shared with us. One way to help a person calm down is you tell them, give me 5 things you see. And they go through 5 things that they see. Give me 4 things you feel, and allow them to go through their process. 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. And if that doesn't calm them down, go through the process again. Since she's taught me this is something I do when I have to speak in front of a crowd, because that can cause a lot of anxiety. And if you are not ready, or if it's your first time doing it, or if it's a new crowd or a bigger crowd, sometimes you have to calm yourself down. So that's a very useful tool that she shared with us. And there are other tools that you can use for calming yourself down during a panic disorder. And you can Google quite a few of them. I know Open Up Mississippi on their Facebook page has shared quite a few. They do like a Wellness Wednesday, and on Wellness Wednesday, they share techniques to help you with your mental wellness. And sometimes they go over different physical techniques that you can do in case of a panic attack. Obsessive compulsive disorder. So this one is referred to as OCD, of course. It's a disorder in which people have recurring unwanted thoughts, ideas, or sensations. It's kind of more of an obsession than just an idea, though. It takes over their world. The obsessions make them feel driven to do something repetitively, and these things can significantly interfere with the person's daily life and relationships. And please note, it's not something they can just stop. They can't just stop having these compulsions and obsessions with these things. This is something that therapy, possible medication, a plan of action for their mental wellness is gonna help them to move through. And even with that, there may just be some things that individual learns to live with. Now, what we're going to do at this point is I want to ask you all to do us at Nami a favor, and us a favor by raising awareness. And by raising awareness, what you do is you break down the walls of stigma. You make it okay for individuals to talk about having mental illness or a mental health condition. You make it where it's not so taboo and individuals don't have to shut in on themselves and feel like they're so alone. So have a conversation with friends and family about mental health. Like I said in the beginning, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Perfect excuse. If you're watching me right now, I can tell you how to lead it in. You get your young adult, you sit them down, and you say, hey, I just heard some lady from Nami and she was talking about mental health, mental wellness. What do you know about mental health? Listen. God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen, and then see what they have to say. And from there, you can guide the conversation. And it may not be them struggling. It may be a friend. And by you teaching your young adult all of the information I've given you or sharing your journey with them, that may help them to help others. Or in their time of crisis, it may help them to know what to do or who to come to. Tell people that make fun of mental health, it is not okay. We don't want anyone to feel stigmatized by your words. So be very mindful of what you say and how you say it in front of anyone, because even if you don't know it, the world is always watching. The lady in the grocery store behind you is always watching. The people around you at school, they pay attention to how you handle yourself. So make sure that you're mindful of what you say. And if you have a friend or someone that you know, or even a loved one that is saying things that would be offensive to someone who lives with a mental illness, let them know that's not okay, because you want to make sure that you break those walls down. And pay attention to how you say a person that lives with a mental illness, how you refer to them, because at any point they are not bipolar, they are not depressed, they are not their illness. You would never say a person who has cancer is cancer. You would say they live with cancer or they're fighting cancer. So you don't want to stigmatize anyone who lives with a mental illness by describing them as their illness. They're so much bigger than it. They're friends, family, loved ones. They're funny, caring, kind. I mean, some people are mean. I mean, they have other characteristics than their mental illness. Start a join a club that focuses on mental health advocacy. I know with NAMI, you can join Open Up Mississippi, and that's for young adults who want to support mental health and mental wellness. Or you can start a NAMI on campus if you're at college and have support there on campus, because college is a huge time frame where individuals are going through a transition. So we try to make sure we supply everything that's needed for individuals to be supported on campuses. And you may be surprised to find out some of the campuses in the state of Mississippi already have NAMI on campus. Start a social media campaign using hashtag Say It Out Loud. Very important. Even if you just do it one time, share hashtag Say It Out Loud, and that makes a huge difference. That shows someone who's looking at your social media that you are a safe place and you're a safe person to talk to. Hang posters and other positive mental health signs. And you can do this outside of your home, but also think about doing this in your own home. I know for my home, when school starts, I get some of those good positive affirmations and I stick them on that mirror for my daughters, because I want them to see good things in the morning. I want them to, when they're, brushing their teeth, I want them to read positive affirmations that make them feel like they're the best thing ever and that they can slay this day. So we want to make sure that you hang posters and share positive affirmations. And if you want to hang posters in your office, do it. If it makes you feel better, do it. It's necessary, go for it. Work with NAMI affiliates to bring NAMI into your schools. This is a big one. This same presentation we can do in schools, but we need your help to get into the schools to make sure that we can share the information with young adults. And join NAMI walks in your area to show your support. This year, NAMI walks will happen October the 10th. I'm sorry, not 10th, October the 9th. It's the National Day of Hope, and it's a virtual walk. There's no fee to join our walk. We ask that you just put your name on the roll. If you want to give to the walk, please feel free to do so. But as a family member or a young adult, please join the walk to show that you support mental health and mental wellness. As a matter of fact, Open Up Mississippi has a team, and that's specifically our young adult division. So if you don't know anyone, join Open Up Mississippi's team, and they'll be happy to have you.
No, Central's team.
I was just about to say Central as a
Central.
team.
Yeah. For you parents, you all join Central's team. So a little bit more about Open Up Mississippi. It's a statewide youth-led advocacy council. The mission is to engage young adults as they break down barriers to gain mental wellness and utilize their strength and voice against the stigma of mental health. We envision the statewide movement where youth and young adults are empowered to use their voice to ensure quality mental health care services that achieve positive and lasting mental wellness for all Mississippians. One thing that we focus on at NAMI is getting help early. Open Up is one of those initiatives that help young adults know that it's okay to get help early. And we will refer to them. I mean, when there's something going on, we want our youth to have a voice, because for me, they're going to be my future caregivers. They're going to be my doctors, my psychiatrists, my therapists, my counselors. I mean, the people who are going to run the world coming up. So we want to make sure that we protect them and we give them everything they need. And we also want to hear their voice. I will ask my young adults in a minute what they think about a certain topic in reference to mental health, because what they think is usually very important, because if they tell you how they want their service to happen, or they tell you what help they need and you give it to them, they'll be more likely to use it. So that is one of the great aspects of Open Up Mississippi. They have a voice. And with many young adults, when you speak to them, and when I go into classrooms, I hear quite often, we don't feel like we're heard. We don't feel like we can talk to adults. We don't feel like adults understand us. Well, I'm here to tell you, we are listening. If no one else is listening around you, Open Up Mississippi and NAMI Mississippi, and even the Central Mississippi affiliate is listening, because we want to help you help yourself. Some of these roadblocks and bumps in the road that some of us adults have gone through, we want to help you navigate around those. And in order to do that, we need to know what you need in order to be successful. It could be with school, it could be with mental health, it could just be with anything that you have a question on that you feel that an adult can help you with. Please feel free to reach out to us. Now, here's our contact information. Since this is the youth-led version of NAMI Mississippi, I put Lakin's information on here. Lakin Register is our state youth engagement coordinator, and then the information for Open Up Mississippi. But also Latasha will have more information posted on phone numbers and email addresses and things that you can share and ask questions about. I encourage you to share this presentation. If anyone has a question, feel free to contact us. Our email address our phone number is 601-899-9058. Call us at any time. Like I said, no question is a dumb question. And you'd be surprised at the questions and answers that I get and give on a daily basis. So that concludes my my presentation. Does anyone have any questions or comments that they want to share with us at this time?
I'd like to share something if it's okay.
Go
for it.
Yeah, so my son has had some bouts with mental illness. He's 13 now, and he feels uncomfortable with the topic because of his experiences. So if you have any resources or ways that you can make or introduce mental illness to those that have already experienced it more comfortable, I'll greatly appreciate it as a parent.
Okay.
Okay.
I will definitely I have your contact information. I'll look for some resources and make sure we get those over to you.
Thank you so much.
And that's a great point that you bring up. Even though the young adults or the individual may be experiencing the mental health crises or going through it, it may be a touchy subject because of the stigma that's associated with it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that makes it harder, and that makes it harder for you to understand where they are. And I know you just want to pour love on someone, but you want to know where they are so you can help them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one thing I always advocate for is, and with you saying that, it made me think of this. It's their bodies and their feelings. So a lot of time, and I've experienced this, I am an advocate for an individual who lives with, actually 2 individuals who live with mental illness. These are adults. I have gone to doctors, and the doctors talk to me and ask me a question about an individual's feelings who are sitting in the room with me.
Yep.
For me,
Like
that's a problem. Yeah,
it is.
that's a problem because I don't know how that person feels. I know that person knows. And it's important to give the young adult or whoever you're advocating for, give them their power back. Because at some point, they have to be the leader of their journey. And if the physicians and the team around them is not allowing them to help in their journey, then it may not be successful. So that's one of those things that you have to start on the front end so that you don't have a roadblock down the line when they become an adult. We want them to see the benefits of getting help and not feel like it's a forced decision. So definitely I will look into that in ways of introducing mental health to the young adults so that they can, what I call, own their mental wellness.
Not isolated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anytime. Any other questions or comments?
Well, thank you, Sataniel. That was fantastic and a great overview and in depth. And if there are no further questions or announcements, I have one announcement, and Latasha may want to add, but our next meeting will be June 1. And I think are we having Alice Byther?
Yes,
who will
Alice
be talking
Byther.
about
Yes.
dealing with depression during COVID. Is that, we're still planning that? Okay.
Yes.
So that will be, we're always meeting on the first Tuesday of each month, and that happens to be June 1 for next month. So we look forward to having you back then. And do you have any announcements, Latasha?
I just want to reiterate, in addition to our next meeting, first Tuesday in June at 7 o'clock. Just a reminder that Nami Central Mississippi does have a Nami Walks team on Nami Mississippi's Walk site. So if you go to namiwalks.org/Mississippi, be sure to look for Nami Central Mississippi's team and register. Registration is free. We just look for everyone to donate. So please register. It'll be virtual. So don't feel like you have to be any particular place. You can do it from anywhere, and you can participate any way you want. You can walk, run, bake a cake, paint a picture. It doesn't matter. However you want to honor that day, go for it.
Yeah, a few peers may try to, meet an actual walk, do an actual walk in addition to do a hybrid. So hopefully we can do that, Nathaniel.
I think that would be great.
Yeah. So I hope to see everybody next month, and fantastic job, Sataniel, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for all of you who attended tonight, and we will see you next month. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.